Hey, y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders Midweek.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey.
How are you today?
Basking in the sunlight.
You've got a few days off.
That's right.
You're having a bit of a staycation.
That's right. That's when you're too poor to go anywhere, but you got a couple of PTO days at work.
Yeah.
Which I like staycations, honestly.
I know you do.
Because I like to stay at the house anyway.
You love it, and you lounge. I ask you today, is this going to be like a combined few days where you just sit on your ass?
Yeah.
And that seemed to motivate you to get up and start kind of helping me with some chores.
Well, no, I usually will wake up, even on my days off.
I ride you like the wind.
Yeah.
To get you to do stuff.
I wake up a little bit before you because I get up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning usually. So, 7, 8 o'clock, I'll wake up and I'm up. And then I'll do my thing, mess around, usually involves eating, right? I'll eat some leftovers early morning, watch a little something. But I know when you get up, it's time to go to work, okay?
Well, see, I'm the kind of person that when I wake up, I immediately like to start doing chores and getting the tasks for the day out of the way.
Yeah.
And then once I've completed those tasks, that's when I take the opportunity to sit down, have my coffee, read the news, kind of catch up, take a little breath.
Right.
But yeah, I'm kind of no nonsense. Like when I wake up like ready to go.
And left to my own devices, I'm the person who goes ahead and opens up with chilling. And
yes,
then
you are.
thinks about the stuff that I should be doing in a regretful manner.
Yes, until I come along and tell you to get your ass up and start helping me, right?
Yeah, so here we are on this beautiful day, opening to a long weekend, a much well-deserved long weekend for yours truly. And what do you got? What do you got, Heather? You have some breaking news for us, right?
I don't have any breaking news.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
no,
you do.
We were just talking about. I have. So I'm looking for hobbies and things to kind of occupy my time outside of the podcast. Got to have a life, Dylan, because I feel like all I do is work on the podcast and then go to the gym, and that's been it for my hobbies.
Yeah,
I've taken up reading again. That's helpful. But I've decided to start crafting my own sick beats. Like Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I want to be a SoundCloud rapper. I'm not even kidding. Like I've started writing lyrics and I'm working on beats because I've noticed there's this trend since like rap and country music merged that's like hillbilly rappers.
Yeah.
And people want to hear you, if you from the holler, rapping about the holler.
Yeah.
I would be great at this.
I would name my hillbilly rap album Dusty Roads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's going to be called Collard Greens, but there's going to be a Z on the end of the greens.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's about that life.
Yeah. Pour some vinegar on me.
That's right.
Pour some vinegar on me.
Oh, you're going to have some crossovers.
My other idea is I really want to be a lounge singer because I love to sing songs in a lounge singer voice, and I think I'd be really good at that.
Now, see, I
just need like a toupee and a cheap polyester suit.
And a venue, obviously, but I think lounge singer may be more up your alley. But I can't wait to check out your rap album.
Well, I'm thinking about just maybe going down to like the Budget Inn, like that sketchy one across town, and just singing in the lobby.
Dude, just need
without being invited.
Bring like one of those kids karaoke.
Yes,
it's basically just the microphone.
No, that's exactly what I'm gonna do, and maybe have like a keyboard.
Yeah,
and I just keyboard out some tunes.
And don't even ask anybody in there if it's okay.
Just
set up in the corner.
It's a spontaneous performance.
Yeah.
Because I'm a performance artist.
And then demand payment afterwards.
Well, it's like busking. I'll accept tips.
Yeah, or access to the continental breakfast.
Oh, well, no. I don't. It's always old and dried out.
Gosh.
Stale.
Hey, you can't tell the people. I've mentioned it before. I know long-time listeners know. You cannot tell the other people getting the continental breakfast that it's pretty basic and, kind of lame.
Man, people will be fighting each other over the continental breakfast.
Because, man, let them have some bacon or some kind of a gravy substance available.
Ew,
and
it's always that powder gravy,
well, of course,
too,
but
it's like a lumpy.
You can't get near it, even though I'm not going to get that stuff.
The expired yogurts.
No, I might get some cereal and I might get a muffin.
I noticed the last time we were in Michigan, and we were in Ann Arbor, there were folks downstairs that I felt like were being really aggressive over the breakfast buffet. And when I say buffet, I mean there was like maybe 6 items out.
Some powdered eggs.
Yeah, people were really going crazy over it.
And they'll fight over the waffle mix.
I don't know why. I don't know why they do that.
And then like you'll if you are going all out and you want to like, okay, I'm gonna make a waffle, and people's like standing there impatiently while your waffle cooks through the normal cycle, and you're like, I can't do
thought
it.
about making you have like a full staycation experience where I prepare you almost like a continental breakfast. And have a little spread going on.
Okay.
I guess some of those like little mini muffins.
Yeah.
From the bakery, the grocery store, that kind of thing. And I'll put it all out. And then my son and I are going to like fight you and box you out to prevent you from getting to the food.
You're going to be the rude guest.
It's going to be like a full on vacation experience.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm in a no-name beach in Florida.
Yeah. You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Fun. Yeah. It's going to be a good time, Dylan.
I also got to let you know I need some fresh linens.
I just changed the linens yesterday.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Man, you know what I've realized? You're gross. And if I didn't change the linens, the bedding, you're just one of those people who'd waller for like probably months on the same like gross sheets.
No.
Collecting all your dead skin cells.
That's not true. That's not true. I would change them at least once a week.
I don't believe that. Well, why haven't you changed them?
Because I don't have to. You change them every 48 hours, which is great.
I don't do it every 48 hours.
That's great full service.
It's probably every like 4 days.
All right, so here we are. What have you dug up for us in our, round news recap?
We're recapping some news today, Dylan, and I thought this was interesting to lead us into our discussion of crimes happening up and down the East Coast and maybe in some other places. There was an investigation that began a few years ago after 2 drug dealers got into a car accident in a small Tennessee town. This led to a series of like secret wiretaps, a shootout with police, and the discovery of drugs hidden in a tractor trailer. And this would all eventually lead federal investigators back to cartel leaders in Mexico.
Oh, gosh.
The investigation culminated with the Justice Department indictments being unsealed on Thursday against 3 leaders and 2 high-ranking enforcers of the United Cartels, a leading rival of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel.
Gosh, these cartel names sound like bands from the 80s.
Or gangs, like the Rollin' 68 Crip
Yeah.
Muffins or whatever. I don't know. They just have like weird names. So the U.S. government is now offering a reward of up to $10 million for information leading to the arrest of United Cartel's top leader, Juan Jose Farias Alvarez, also known as El Abuelo, or the Grandfather.
Oh.
This is like reminds me of some Breaking Bad shit.
Yeah, what's crazy is this type of information could be very likely to get you killed, right? Ratting out high-level members of cartel. And then they always, I've heard it more than once, they go out of their way to screw you out of the reward.
Well, that's what I'm thinking is, I don't know if I'm willing to give up information that I have with the promise of this money that's sort of being dangled in front of me like a carrot.
Right.
Only for them not to pay. And then I'm on the line and I've got like cartel members, like chopping the heads off my, pet bird or something.
Because I feel like with $10 million,
I don't even have a pet bird, but
at least for 5 years, let's say, you could go on the run with money like that. You could get your passport. You could bounce all over the world, never staying in one place too long.
I always wonder how effective witness protection is.
Yeah.
Especially given the nature of cartels, the dangers associated with cartels. I just feel like, could they track you down in witness protection?
Well, the problem is they have moles, paid informants, and different agencies and things like that. And I think they have a good chance of getting their hands on that kind of information.
I've watched Ozark. I know how this works.
And because used to, when I was younger, I just kind of had this, like when it was FBI or, Secret Service or any of these organizations, I was like, ooh, that's like top level, like some shit you'd see in a high level action movie or something. But in reality, that doesn't seem to be the case. Scandal after scandal.
They seem to be kind of maybe some dumbasses fumbling around sometimes.
And as an adult, I've dug into many, many FBI cases, and they really bungle investigations. And I heard a newest one I heard about was an interview on Tucker Carlson and between him and a woman. I forget her name, but she's a bit of an expert on the Oklahoma City bombing.
Oh, yeah. Margaret Robertson, I think is her name. She's a journalist.
Yes.
I listened to that one as well because, I can't resist a good conspiracy theory. And I know people have their feelings about Tucker Carlson just, based on politics, and he worked for Fox News for a long time or whatever. But he does produce some very interesting podcast episodes, and I'm all about a conspiracy theory. So if I see that it kind of leads to maybe a conspiracy, I'm all about listening to it.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say about Tucker Carlson, he's the only big-time media personality I've ever heard say, during that time, I was wrong, and I feel terrible about it, and I apologize, as far as whatever story he was covering or event or propaganda that he now feels like he was a part of pushing.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that as well. And it's like over the years, I've always kind of heard people trash him, like, oh, he's this and that and whatever. And I didn't really listen to anything he had to say kind of thing. But I have to say, since he's kind of broken free from major media and is doing his own thing, I have heard him apologize and say he was wrong. And you're right. I don't usually hear people say that.
And he has some very interesting guests.
Like Jake Tapper, he just doubles down.
Yeah.
Like Jake Tapper, wrote the book about Biden, even though he was the one telling us, like, everything's okay.
Yeah. The emperor has no clothes.
We're just, I hate to say it, but we're just so fucked. People are so invested in politics and they let it rule their life. And it doesn't matter what the event or incident or topic is. They somehow always relate it back to something political. Well, it's because this or that, whatever. Instead of just like discussing the topic at hand without making it a political event.
Yes. And we privately discussed how.
And I'm just like, why? Both parties are fucked up. And really, are they here to help you? They're not here to help you.
No, the whole system is sour, and we'll move on, obviously. We try to stay apolitical here. But we were discussing how different just the political discourse, no matter what side you're on.
I liked it better when I didn't know who people were voting for.
Well, people didn't lead with that. That was more of you had to be their kind of friend, not just an acquaintance in passing to discuss politics or religion or these kind of big issues. And people were able to be from different camps or different sides and still be friends.
This is one way in which I think social media has ruined society. People are chronically online.
Right.
And all they do is watch political shit. That's like their algorithm because they watched a few videos. And then it's like they're being spoon-fed. I'll say it. I think TikTok's a psyop. And you're just being spoon-fed propaganda, and these content creators are being paid to deliver certain messages.
Yeah, I believe that.
And I think people are eating it up with a spoon, and now that's their whole life is just something political. And they like create this unnecessary burden, I think, on themselves because they are full of anxiety and fear and stress. And just bugging out about every little thing.
And questionable information, let's be honest.
I'm like, just get offline. Go sit in the grass. Ground yourself. Yeah. All right, back to our thing here, Dylan. So the cases that have been outlined in the court documents provide a glimpse into how drugs produced by these cartels in large labs in Mexico flow across the border and reach us here in everyday America. They also highlight the violent fallout that drug trafficking leaves in its path from Mexico all the way into like small town USA. So these cartels in particular serve as a powerful reminder of the insidious impacts that global cartels can have on our local American communities, according to Matthew Gaiolotti, acting Assistant Attorney General in charge of the Justice Department's Criminal Division. Quote, the chain started with a violent cartel in Mexico, and it ended with law enforcement being shot at in a small town.
That's crazy.
Just the grip these cartels have over not only Mexico, but the way they're impacting us here is just wild. I mean, we know about organized crime and we had like the, mafiosa, whatever, Costa Nostra here in America, but they never had the kind of reach or impact that these cartels have.
No, usually their reach and impact was limited literally to neighborhoods around them, right? They controlled areas directly around them. And sure, they had paid informants into a little bit, But I certainly don't think they reach up to the levels that this infiltration of the cartel into our information systems and things like that. And obviously the internet plays a part of that as well. And God, it's crazy. And I really think it's something that should be addressed in some form.
Well, this case goes back to 2019 when two drug dealers got into a car accident near Rockwood, Tennessee, which is just outside of Knoxville. While fleeing the scene of the crash, they threw a hardened protective case filled with meth behind a building before being caught by police. Authorities began investigating. They used wiretaps, search warrants, and other surveillance to identify men believed to be leading a major drug ring in the Atlanta area named Eladio Mendoza. The investigation into Mendoza's suspected drug operation then led law enforcement in early 2020 to a hotel near Atlanta. During their surveillance, authorities spotted a man leaving with a large Doritos bag.
Oh, okay. Family size.
Well, I'm just curious.
Or I bet it's party size.
Were they like regular Doritos? Were they the taco flavored? I love those old school taco flavored Doritos.
Dude, that's been, we got some of those not long ago, and I remember how much I love that flavor.
Yeah.
And I can't stop thinking about them.
And I love Cool Ranch. I'll eat the regular, whatever, but I have to say those are my two flavors.
I like the sweet chili. I like the spicy
Man,
nacho.
It's been a long time since we have had, I say that, but it's been a while since we even had Doritos.
Dude, they got spice.
I feel like the last time you bought that taco Dorito was like a year ago. And you're like, we just ate that. No, honey, that was like a year ago.
They got spicy Cool Ranch. They got spicy buffalo wing. Oh my gosh, I like all the chemical spicy ones.
Yeah,
it can't be good for me.
Don't they have like some ghost pepper or some shit now? I don't know. So troopers tried to stop the man after he drove from Georgia into Tennessee, but this guy fled, and then he fired AK-style rifles at officers, hitting one in the leg before another trooper shot him. So inside this Doritos bag, they found meth and heroin and ended up identifying him as a low-level dealer for Mendoza's drug ring. A few weeks later, authorities searched properties linked to Mendoza and seized phones. They discovered messages between Mendoza and a close associate of El Abulu, the grandfather, the leader of the cartel, that showed the drugs were coming from Mexico. One of Mendoza's properties, at one of his properties, they found 850 kilograms of meth hidden in the floor of a truck, and discovered more drugs inside a bus and a home on the property. Now, that's a party bus.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of drugs.
A short time later, Mendoza fled the U.S. for Mexico, where he was killed by cartel leaders angry that authorities had seized cash and drugs.
So that kind of worked itself out.
Man, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't.
Well, that's the thing when you're dealing with these types of people. You know what I mean?
There's no room for error.
There is
at all.
No, and then there's 10. It really is kind of a bastardized capitalist free trade market. As soon as they kill you, there's 10 other people right below you that will try to want to move into your spot, the power vacuum.
You know, it's crazy that the lure of money, this type of money and maybe power, you're willing to sacrifice your life for that, because again, you're filling in for somebody who done fucked up and they've taken him out, and now you're stepping in his place, knowing good and damn well at any moment they could fuck you up.
Right.
You could be dead. They're going to chop your head off. They're going to dismember you. They're going to burn you alive. Whatever.
And see, this is my argument for
bold.
Legalizing drugs and funding, treatment. Period, being the main way you approach it. Because as long as there's a market,
you want a party hole.
No,
you want people to go to the party hole and be like, it's a party hole thing.
I want to get rid of all the dangerous substances and violence associated. You know how good our society would be then? Because we have a percentage of people in our country who are going to use their drug of choice possibly until the day they die. They've proven it over and over, and it's sad to reflect on or think about. But if we approach this in a completely new, modern way, instead of like the backwards way that I feel like the war on drugs is ran, because it's a hydra. You cut off one head, two heads grow. This method's never going to end it. It's never going to end the problem. But if you remove all the legality and everything away from it, And I don't know how you approach it. I don't know what it looks like. And I know people say, well, then more people have access to drugs and blah, this and that. But I really do believe it's a better way forward for our country.
Well, what I'm confused about, and again, I'm not trying to be political here. I'm just, this seems to not make any sense to me. This is where I get mixed up in like this back and forth with political parties. Is like sometimes what people say doesn't make sense to me. So all I've heard for years is how we need more like drug treatment for addicts.
Access.
And, this will help get homeless people off the street, and we're going to help addicts.
Not enough beds in rehabs.
Yeah.
Not enough
I've heard that
treatment.
so often, and we've poured billions and billions of dollars into this homeless industrial complex that is really not showing much success, because it seems like homelessness has even, expanded even more over the last 20 years than it was,
Well, the only thought is make more homes available.
Right.
And that'll solve the problem. And that's not solving the problem.
No. And at the end of the day, I don't think these nonprofits want to solve the problem, because they're making money off of this. And some, executive directors getting paid a chunk of money, and this is their business, and they're just sucking these funds off.
Well, people say nonprofit,
whatever.
But the presidents and
somebody's
stuff,
profiting.
They're making, $500 million a year or whatever. And there's a whole, just like any corporate, any corporation, there's a whole hierarchy of management and administrators.
Typically,
and they're all getting paid every week. So
the only time I haven't seen that is with a very small nonprofit.
Right.
That's
based on volunteers.
But here's my thing. So when there are discussions about, I guess, involuntarily maybe committing people to rehab, like, okay, well, if we build these public facilities offering rehab services, being able to take people off the streets and like force them into rehab, then you have those same advocates who've been saying we need more treatment programs, like, oh, that's impeding on their rights as a citizen.
Right.
So what would you rather have? People in the streets dying, overdosing, being victim of crime? I mean, among homeless people, you still have rapes, murders, assaults, robberies. That same shit is happening among the homeless. Maybe even more so, because they are unhoused.
They don't have a locked door to
And not only that, but they're using drugs. They're using dirty needles. They're spreading disease. They're a health hazard. You find needles everywhere.
Trash.
Environmental. It's a destroying of the environment, because when you've got these camps without any kind of sanitation, feces. I mean, all of that can lead to serious health hazards.
People getting bubonic plague and cholera.
I know. I watch Soft White Underbelly on YouTube. Is quite popular, and some of our listeners may check that out, or have listened to that show before or watched the videos. But there was someone on there who had bubonic plague that was unhoused. And so you're telling me it would be better for these people to have like this freedom of choice to use drugs and possibly get bubonic plague from like the 1500s than to force that person to go to a treatment program, like, which is less cruel. And so at the end of the day, if you really care about people and saving lives, I think you have to kind of stop and re-examine your thoughts on it, because you can't have it both ways.
Well, it's just like what I said about the war on drugs. So
what is the solution?
What we've been doing for decades is not working. So we need to come up with a modern solution.
Yes.
That it is possibly a 180 from what we were doing before, or certainly different, because this is not working.
That was my mic. I moved it.
And throwing billions of dollars at this and still having people tonight sleeping in holes and on sidewalks, it's not working.
Underpasses.
And at the same time, we have to realize that there's a certain portion of that population that simply do not want to be a functional citizen or part of society in a normal way.
Yeah, we watched a documentary, and then we'll move on and get back to this case, but we watched a documentary recently. This young man, he kind of, I guess, felt compelled to make a documentary, and he's in LA, and he had met kind of a group of young people. And I would say they were all, from like 16 to
14 to 21.
4, maybe the oldest. And so he follows this group around for a while. I mean, it's like probably well over a year, maybe even 2-3 years, and befriends them and goes out of his way to try to help many of these individuals. And out of all of the folks he tried to help find housing, he helped a young man get into like a college program. the guy graduated from it. So out of this group of people, I think only 2 were really successful in kind of turning their lives around. It was the one young man who graduated with like a massage therapy degree. He seemed to get his shit together.
He has a job in the apartment now.
Yeah, and there was one young woman who was willing to get off the street. And I think she was pregnant at the time.
Yeah.
But she got off the street and is now housed and has a child and a job and is like doing really well. But multiple other young people that he helped, he would get them into housing or whatever, and they would run away and go right back to the streets and using drugs again within like 8 hours of leaving the shelter or abandoning whatever transitional housing or apartment they had. They would just walk away from it.
Right.
And be like, well, it's just too much to deal with.
Right.
So again, I mean, that's just a little, like a microcosm, but think of, there's a lot of people out there with that attitude. But anyway, I don't know what the solution to drugs is, but obviously we have a lot of problem with them flowing into the U.S.
We need to have drug stores.
Well, United Cartel's drug distribution network, Dylan, spans the United States. They have hubs in Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, Kansas City, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Denver, and Chicago. So the profits from drug sales in the U.S. are, quote, allegedly used to acquire heavy weaponry, hire mercenaries, bribe local officials, and then, of course, fund lavish lifestyles for the cartel leaders.
That sounds like a pretty good package.
People want to buy it like hippos and stuff. Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of an interesting story. I thought we should talk about, well, one, just, being in Tennessee, but 2, how like a car accident can lead to, can be traced back to these drug cartels and to the grandfather.
And see, I think that's solid police work, to work it all the way from the other end all the way up the chain like that is a solid police work. And I think that has merit as well.
All right, Dylan, moving along from that, I could tell that was a bit of a hot button issue we've been talking about. Are you familiar with Roblox?
I know what it is. I know of it.
Well, what is Roblox, Dylan? Will you explain that to us? It's a gaming platform for children.
Yes,
is that correct?
Yes, and it has all kinds of, I guess, different games, and a lot of them are very simple games that rather young children can play. And it's often been associated with scams and bad people because they trick these kids in various ways to get their parents' credit cards, buy this, buy that, stuff in games and such. So, yeah, what you got?
Well, Roblox is facing another federal lawsuit alleging that the company has failed to protect minors from sexual exploitation, even as it has touted safety as a top priority. This complaint that was filed in Northern California by a Michigan mother on behalf of her 10-year-old daughter accuses Roblox Corporation of knowingly allowing predators to thrive on its platform.
Oh, my God.
The 10-year-old was allegedly befriended by an adult posing as a child on the platform, offering kind of this false emotional connection in order to lure her into sending graphic messages, sexually explicit images, and then ultimately convincing this 10-year-old to send him, pictures of herself. He's sending her pictures, basically grooming this child.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, this suit cites multiple examples of this pattern, describing instances in which children have been groomed in-game before being funneled off Roblox and then into these third-party apps like Discord, Snapchat, Kik. So these groomers, man, if there's a will, there's a way for them, right? They're going to find a way to get at your kids.
See, here's my thing. If every comment I leave on, say, TikTok or whatever, Facebook, can be monitored by an algorithm or whatever, and kind of filter for community guidelines or speech in any form, why can't Roblox do that with these conversations that are happening, even if they're happening between kids? Hey, 2 10-year-olds shouldn't be sending nude pictures back and forth.
The issue is that Roblox does not allow direct image sharing between users. It does have this like chat system or whatever. But the lawsuit alleges that predators often entice children on the platform because they'll offer in-game currency. And I'm assuming the in-game currency is where they're like getting free tokens or they're being given money so they can purchase like game shit, right? I don't know.
Right.
See, I'm not a gamer, so I don't really
But
know how
no,
this works.
in-game currency represents real money, just so to be clear on that. Because that's a scandal I've heard before of kids getting their parents' credit card information or whatever and just buying $2,000 worth of freaking Roblox, currency. So it has a real value.
Well, according to this lawsuit, quote, children frequently become obsessed with purchasing or otherwise obtaining Robux to buy items for their avatars and to spend in their favorite experiences on Roblox. So as a result, children often tell others, including strangers, that they're pretty much willing to do anything for Robux.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So basically, they're alleging that Roblox is directly profiting off of the actions of bad actors on their platform.
The 82-page complaint points to multiple examples of harmful and inappropriate content on the platform. And Dylan, this includes games modeled after strip clubs, condo games, and a game like Public Bathroom Simulator where avatars can simulate sexual activity. Now, why is that available on a children's gaming platform is my question.
Well, I think part of the problem, if I'm not mistaken, I could be, it's an open source situation where you can kind of make something and put on there, make your own game kind of thing, very simple games. And I think that maybe is part of the problem. But again, it's on the computing power and your security measures to be able to take a game that someone wants to put on this open source platform and say, hey, this game's inappropriate, right? It's not going to be allowed on something that is basically for very young children.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy, Dylan. The complaint further alleges that Roblox has permitted user accounts to have explicit names referring to pedophilia, like at Rape Tiny Kids JE, and Earl Brian Bradley, who's a reference to some prolific pedophile who raped and molested hundreds of kids. And they're allowing these types of names to be on the platform. There's like somebody called Child Labor Tycoon.
Yeah, so
There's a game called Freaky Diddy Simulator. I mean, what the hell?
If you're out there and you have young kids and I'm sure you've heard of Roblox, they probably bugged you for the Robux. Just know that you need to be very vigilant about what your kids are getting into on that. I don't have younger kids. Mine are grown and such, which I'm relieved of nowadays. To have young kids kind of trying to navigate the web in any way, I would be very nervous for obvious reasons. But yeah, you need to if you've never heard a story like this about Roblox, they've been tied to many, many scandals.
Well, there's more than 300 lawsuits that have been filed against Roblox over similar allegations of exploitation, making it one of the largest ongoing waves of litigation against a tech platform in the country.
Yeah.
I felt like it was important to talk about this because I do know, we have quite a few listeners who have young children and are probably familiar with this.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Kick. How's that even still around? I've been hearing scandals on Kick since it existed years ago,
Yeah.
People, pedophiles, infiltrating these kid-centric groups and platforms and obviously just hunting victims.
Dylan, we have to talk about, now this is just breaking news, Virginia Beach, popular tourist destination, but the city council is trying to crack down on what they deem vulgar merchandise, provocative and profanity-labeled merchandise that is being featured in oceanfront stores in Virginia Beach.
Okay, I'm going to assume a lot of these are like the T-shirt stores.
Absolutely.
And things like that, like a federal boob inspector.
Things like that, but some of them even go a little, maybe a step further than that. The Virginia Beach City Council passed a resolution this week strongly encouraging retailers on Atlantic Avenue Boardwalk to voluntarily remove what they call indecent or vulgar clothing from display in an effort to maintain more of a family-friendly environment and welcoming of people of all ages.
Right, because if you're walking down through there with your
they're not being forced to do it. It's voluntary.
You're walking down through there with your 10-year-old and you see a T-shirt, I heart dick.
Yeah.
It might be a little much, right?
Well, for instance, Dylan, in one display, There are what I would call booty shorts on leg mannequins that have slogans like, quote, all you can eat. It ain't going to spank itself.
God.
And roll your weed on it.
Nice.
Across the ass of, man, back in my day, we just had juicy.
Juicy and
We
pink.
just had juicy on the ass and pink on the ass. Yeah. So there's a proliferation of these indecent and vulgar T-shirts and other displays in these storefronts. And the city believes it's creating an unwelcoming environment for families. And they're really trying to market themselves to families and, of course, just city residents. Now, it's not a legally binding ordinance or statute. This is just calling on retailers to act in good faith and remove these kind of items just from the windows. It's not even saying you can't sell the items.
Well, and you know, I'm all for free speech, free markets. But, I mean, you can have a little bit of decorum, kind of read the room, if you will. And I think those types of things should be in a section where the people who want to purchase something like that, they'll go there. They don't have to be in the front window. Because you know that type of stuff is at a place like this.
I think I'm going to order you these thick fillet shorts.
Thick fillet?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can wear it, yeah. It'll be splayed across your little booty.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can cut the grass. I think that'd be a great visual for our neighborhood.
I'm sure our friends around here would like that.
Virginia Beach welcomed 14.1 million visitors in 2023, and that generated about $2.5 billion in spending, according to the Virginia Beach Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Well, that's a lot. So it's an important economic driver for that area.
Well, according to the city council, they're saying the standard for criminal enforcement of obscenity is a pretty difficult standard to reach. So they're just asking retailers to consider maybe removing these things from the window. But some of the retailers, and they're mostly small independent business owners, are kind of pushing back against this, saying that, you know, the new generation, they really like this kind of thing, and that it's bringing, when folks see this sort of stuff exhibited, then it brings them in the store. And he's getting, this one business owner saying he's getting between $25 and $35 a piece for these types of items, like the T-shirts and the shorts. And he has no plans to stop displaying them because this is basically his bread and butter.
Right. And see, that is saying I don't care about my community. I don't care what my community looks like. This is profitable to me, and that's all I'm worried about.
Well, and others
and that's a poor
are
attitude.
saying, like, I don't think this is offensive. So again, I mean, it's that level of taste, I suppose, where it is really kind of hard to prove obscenity when you might find something obscene, but someone else doesn't.
What's the problem with obscenity laws and just that whole issue is it really is it's subjective.
Man, I just remember
Right.
being a kid and it was like party till you puke T-shirts. I don't remember like overtly sexual innuendo clothing items at beachfront stores when I was young.
No, and look, I have some silly T-shirts that say crazy stuff on them, right? But I typically
What is that one you have? And it has a marijuana plant, and it says, "I like it tight and trimmed."
yeah, yes, it has a big marijuana leaf
it's
on it.
It's a really appropriate shirt for
and
public
it says in big
consumption.
letters around it, "I like it tight and trimmed," obviously referring to the way your bud's been manicured. But no, I mean,
But you don't like wear that to the grocery store.
No, I'm going to wear that out to a bar of 21
that's
plus.
like a bar, or you
a festival,
or like a cookout,
or you're going to a
or
cookout
like
with
hanging
friends.
out with friends.
I have some that say silly stuff, but I choose not to wear them. And there's been a time or two I didn't realize I had thrown that on around the house, and I go out in public, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel, because there are people with little kids and stuff like that. I don't want to outwardly offend people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's just a personal.
Gosh, I remember this one time. I have this friend, and he's a bit of a goofball. I had invited him over because we would hang out periodically, and he was just my friend, by the way, Dylan.
Yeah, whatever.
But we would hang out periodically, and like one of the things that we would do is like make food. He likes food, I like food, so we would like make food and hang out. And I had made some kind of lunch or something, and he was going to come over, and we were just going to like watch a movie and eat food. It was a Sunday, and he had gone in the grocery store wearing a T-shirt that said "Titties and Beer. That's why I'm here."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, I'm walking around the store, grabbing whatever I'm bringing." And he's like, "I kept getting all these dirty looks from people and like these families in their church clothes, and I kept thinking like, what?" And then he's like, "I realized I had this shirt on." And then he pulls into the driveway and he's like telling me this story. And then my landlord steps out and she's like reading his shirt and just like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." And he's like, "See what I'm talking about?" He's like, "I wasn't even paying attention that I'm wearing this shirt."
Right.
So I'm like, "Bro, you gotta be careful." I don't know. What do you think about this? I think businesses do have a right to sell, whatever they want. It's their business. But I can see the side of city council members kind of wanting to project more of a family-friendly image.
Well, there's a reason for that, because that one store that sells, the kind of racy T-shirts, they that's a certain crowd that goes in there, right?
Yeah.
And it's likely not families with small children, but families with small children, statistically speaking, spend the most money when they're vacationing or on any type of trip, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a balancing act, and I think that you can find. That's where the power of a local ordinance. Let's just say they wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't some kind of an issue in the community, right?
Right.
But we've also, we come from small towns where they want to open up one brewery, and the church crowd or the old church ladies, 70, 80 years old, they're at the town meeting or zoning meeting, swearing that this is a slippery slope into becoming hell.
Oh, dude, I've heard it. I've been at those council meetings when I was a reporter.
Yeah, drunks laying in the gutters.
Hearing they were trying to allow alcohol to be served on Sunday for brunch
at 10 o'clock.
At 10 a.m. And I was a reporter at the time and was attending the hearing, like the public hearing and the town meeting where they were discussing this. And I mean, there were multiple churches with like whole congregations lined up to speak.
Right.
And you would have thought access to a mimosa on a Sunday morning was going to open the gateway to absolute chaos and hell. And the Pale Rider is going to show up. And yeah.
It will destroy your whole community. Which
also,
in reality.
Discussions over, I remember. This has been a while ago. Canton, North Carolina. I guess they have some kind of ordinance where you're not allowed to open a pool hall or like a billiard hall.
Right.
Pool tables. And some business wanted to open like a pool hall so folks can shoot pool. I mean, a lot of people like to do it. It doesn't necessarily mean they're gambling or anything like that, or it's rowdy.
You get a little bit of friendly
But
gambling.
Oh my gosh, you would have thought they were trying to bring like a brothel to town.
Yeah, I know.
Over a pool hall.
So yeah, it's a balance, certainly a balancing act. But I also think as long as they're following their bylaws and the community, the structure set in that community, and they pass an ordinance, I think that's fair as well. I mean, you have to be part of your local government.
But I also think sometimes with these issues, there are probably bigger fish to fry.
I'm going to imagine that is.
To me, that's kind of like a minor issue compared to like other problems communities face.
It's also 2025.
Yeah.
And if people are walking down the street with their kids and they see a goofy saying on a shirt, they're probably not going to like leave the area and never come back, or certainly at less numbers than in the past.
All right, Dylan, we got to talk about this because I've actually seen multiple videos from Greenville, South Carolina online. And I know that it's not just a thing in Greenville. I mean, we recently had the incident in Cincinnati, the brawl.
Right. Public fights.
And these public fights, I mean, they go viral. They have millions of watches. There are people who specifically follow accounts that are just public fights.
It's called World Star.
All right. Well, this is according to WYFF News. Videos of fights in downtown Greenville on the street, on the sidewalk, and even in flower beds are drawing a lot of attention and concern. Now, I did see this fight. It was a couple of women fighting in a flower bed.
Now, I need to see this one.
They're like rolling around on the flowers in the bushes, like in the mulch.
Oh, my gosh.
Dude, it was something else. Now, according to Greenville police, they were called 7 times last weekend for fights alone. They made 2 arrests. And they're still investigating one brawl. And according to the news source, the police are saying that's pretty typical.
Oh, it's just another Saturday night in downtown Greenville, huh?
The Sergeant Diana Munoz, who spoke with the news, said there was a lot of people out there, maybe 10 to 15 people, including women that were fighting, and not a single one of those people called 911. Now, they typically do have officers in the area patrolling because obviously weekend nights, downtown's like popular. There's a lot of bars and restaurants, a lot of things to do downtown. So they do have patrol officers, and they happen to show up and, be there to break it up or whatever. But no one's calling police, and everybody's just standing around filming.
Yeah.
To make these videos.
Well, yeah, they don't want to miss that viral moment, right?
Muniz says these people just want attention for social media, and that a lot of the people in these videos know each other, but that doesn't change how seeing them makes those who live and work in the area, like how it makes them feel.
Right. Which, I don't know why this happens so frequently nowadays. A public fight would be very rare when I was younger.
I never remember seeing anything like that growing up, ever.
No. And now it's like you see it in a big town, small town, whatever.
At the Popeyes.
At the Popeyes, or, restaurants, people flipping out in the dollar store.
In the flower bed.
I mean, I just don't get it. And yes, does fall on the crowd standing around watching to a degree as far as a good Samaritan vibe goes. But the true fault is for the people who are willing to act like this in public, and typically not even over a big deal. Over because somebody said something or someone's been, and again, here's where social media comes into play. People argue, fight, and argue keyboard warrior on the social medias, and then they meet up in public and fight. And they don't even do it by the train tracks anymore.
Okay, this is why we just need to bring back the Coliseum.
Yes.
All right? And if you have a beef with someone, since people want to watch it and be entertained, you do it in like a professional manner. You sell tickets. People can volunteer, like, hey, I have a beef with Dylan. I want to fight him in the arena.
Yeah.
Then people can buy tickets and come watch you fight, so you're getting the attention, right?
Right.
But it's like in a, more of a proper setting.
A controlled environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Pick our weapons.
Yeah.
Will you be my second?
Dude, I'm getting a mace.
That's the weapon you're going to use?
Fuck yeah. I'm going to be slinging that thing above my head like North Carolina, come on and raise up with my mace, swinging it around my head like a helicopter.
Okay.
And then just running at people. And since I'm short, like my mace will probably hit them right in their at like head level.
Yeah.
Because I'm like a foot shorter than everybody.
So you're going to do the mace with the little ball and chain, not a fixed mace.
No, I want the swingy mace.
Okay.
Okay, because that seems like more fun.
It does.
Maybe a little more whimsical.
It does seem a little more whimsical.
What weapon are you choosing, by the way?
I think I'm going to go with the...
Do you want a battle axe?
No, I think I want a triad.
Okay, because a battle axe is like my next choice.
Battle axe is good.
Well, the city of Greenville is enforcing a curfew that's been in effect since 2011. If you are under the age of 18, you are not allowed to be out past 10 p.m. And I think where we have some of these high crime areas and these types of juvenile... Now, I'm not saying this was a juvenile act of violence, but we are seeing mobs of juveniles like terrorizing downtowns and stores and whatever. I think a lot of cities would be better off if they instituted a curfew for young people.
Well, look, some people may feel it's draconian.
Well, what? If you're 15 years old, you don't have any reason to be out on the street past 10 p.m.
Without your parents or an older person.
I don't think so.
With you, you don't have a good reason. But look, here's the thing. When people think that's, like a step back or something like this, well, we're seeing this obvious problem, right? So you have to modify your policies and your actual expectations to fit that problem as it changes.
You know, your teenagers shouldn't be running around at 2 a.m.
No, when you're
unsupervised.
When you're seeing gangs of 10 or 15 teenagers doing these smash and grabs, I mean, that's not normal.
Well, I saw a video where it was like a group of young people, like 15 or 20 young people. And they took over like a QT gas station.
Yeah.
And they were like dancing on the counter and like all through the store and like ripping shit off the shelves, like throwing chips and candy in the floor.
That's crazy.
And it was just chaos. And whoever filmed it was like, I came in here at like 11 p.m. to buy gas on my way home from work and I can't pay. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
So what are those kids doing out that late anyway?
Well, no,
I mean, unless you have a job or there's some specific reason you're out, but just to be out and about. What happened to curfews?
well, what happened to
Parents telling kids you be home at like 9 p.m.
Well, that's where the failure starts. It starts at home and the parents. Exactly. I mean, you should, if your kid's 13, 14, 15 years old, unless they're staying with
Ain't got
someone,
no business running the streets.
they shouldn't just be running the streets without, and you don't know who they're with. And they certainly shouldn't. There was an issue at Asheville Mall, a very viral situation.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that a few years ago.
There was a group of young teens, and then the guy ended up.
There was a fellow leaving the mall with his wife, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe kids. I'm not sure. But he was surrounded by this group of young people.
Being threatened.
And they were threatening him and like coming at him.
And he snapped.
And he was like a veteran. I think he had PTSD.
He did.
And he snapped and like punched a young girl in the face.
I want to say she was around 13.
But she was like up in his face.
Dude, she was all over.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of controversy about, well, this grown man should have never put his hands on this young girl. I mean, I saw both sides of it because, I mean, yeah, that's horrible. But also, like, where are your parents? And why do you think it's okay to do that to an adult?
Yeah, we would never act like that.
Why do you think it's okay to challenge an adult? Because you do that you do that so many times and eventually somebody's going to check your ass.
When I was a kid,
I don't know.
If I was running around the store, which I'd never do because my mom would kick me in the face.
No.
If I was, or I seen other kids doing it, random stranger adults would stop it like, hey,
you need to cut that out.
What are you doing?
Or employees would say, there's no running in here.
Cut that out.
Where's your parent?
They would speak up. And if you gave them any type of guff, they would be demanding, where's your parents? They would want to talk to your parents.
They take you to the front and call your mama's name over the intercom, and then your mom is embarrassed and gets mad as hell at you. And
exactly.
And gives you the look, and then you leave the store, and when you get to the parking lot, your ass is gross.
And nowadays, everyone's afraid to say something because if you say something to those same kids, like, hey, what are you doing? Don't do that. You're causing a disturbance.
Well, not only are the parents going to attack you, but the damn kids are. Like, out of control.
I don't understand.
Dylan, we got to discuss this. I'm so over Bryan Kohberger, but the more that comes out, since we didn't get a trial, the more information that kind of comes out about him, it's so disturbing. There have been some internet searches released. Well, let me back up here. Heather and Jared Barnhart were hired in 2023 to help investigate Kohberger. And look through, I guess, his internet search history, that kind of thing. And they made these very shocking discoveries because he'd made these very disturbing internet searches looking for women being raped and sexually assaulted while asleep. The search history included terms like raped, forced, sleeping, passed out, and voyeur.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So the easiest way to say it, that it's all basically terms consistently around non-consensual sex acts.
Okay, so he is a complete asshole monster, is what I'm hearing.
Well, Kohberger did not sexually assault any of the victims, but Kayla Goncalves' father believes that the killings were motivated by Kohberger's, quote, weird sexual fetishes.
Right, because if you look at his crime, it was late at night. His victims were it sounds like they were all sleeping, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think this, just the fact that someone finds any kind, short of some kind of research, reason or like trying to figure out why sick people do this. If you're looking this type of thing up for fun and getting any kind of enjoyment out of watching anything like that, I think it's safe to say you're a very disturbed individual.
Well, some folks speculate that his plans were forced to change when he was unexpectedly confronted, and that maybe he didn't go in there with intention of murdering 4 people. It could have been more like he was going in there to attack one person, one of the females,
right?
Possibly sexually assault her, kill her, but then he had to kind of switch plans at the time, because things didn't really go the way he wanted them to go.
Oh, my God.
So Kohberger had tried to wipe the search history from his devices, even running data erasing software on his laptops 3 days after the killings. But that was not thorough enough. And this company called Celebrite, which is the Barnhart's forensic company, was tasked with going through the phone and laptop. So I suppose the moral of this story, Dylan, is that you can never erase your search history. There's always going to be some digital footprint remaining.
I don't know as far as in the cloud or, in a cloud storage, how that goes. But I do know as far as your device goes, the ultimate total physical destruction of the hard drive is the only way to keep someone from not recovering from being unable to recover data from that said device. And I know some ways. I know some things.
Yeah, like maybe don't look up weird fucked up shit on your devices that you don't want people to find.
Well, thanks, because that's what I was going to say is don't do any weird crazy shit.
Abstinence
and you have to worry about it.
from the internet, or at least searching your weird shit.
Yeah.
Dylan, we got to talk about this, and then we're going to wrap it up for the day. A paranoid Los Angeles man has been blaring deafening horns that can be heard for miles around several minutes a day, and he's vowing to keep on blowing these horns even after he was finally arrested.
Yeah, this guy, I've seen this story. He's using these train sirens, train horns.
He has 10 different horns.
And it's very, very loud, and it's been described as an ongoing feud with the LAPD.
The sound of these air horns, these train horns, has reached 3.5 miles away from his home.
Like, dude, what are you doing? If I was his next door neighbors, I would be pissed.
Well, one of his neighbors is pissed and says this guy even has some of these horns attached to trees, like out front of his house.
Okay.
Gary Boyodeheisen. That's probably not right. I don't know how he says it. Gary. We're just going to call this dude Gary. 50-year-old Gary has been torturing his neighbors and Van Nuys with these ear-splitting horns since at least June. And when cops finally kicked in his door on Wednesday, according to KABC7, they found 10 horns inside this man's house.
Now, I imagine that this has to violate a noise ordinance or something like that, a nuisance of some sort.
Gary B. started blaring the horns each afternoon, shutting them as police arrived, just then to set off his house alarm, according to neighbors. So I guess he's using the horns, and then they set off his home alarm.
Okay.
When police get that, I don't understand that. That's kind of strange. But an LAPD officer finally busted in his door Wednesday following these constant complaints. They seized 10 horns, and Captain Christopher Zine told KABC7 that, quote, they look like train horns being run by a compressor.
Yeah, because that is an air horn is what the train horn actually works on.
He would shut it down before police arrived, neighbors said, and when the horns weren't sounding off, Gary B. would set off his ear-splitting house alarm, but the crazed neighbor was soon back out and making noise about his arrest and told folks, yes, I'm going to keep on blowing. They arrested me for blowing a horn. Did you see how many of them showed up at my house yesterday like I'm a fucking criminal?
Dude, give it a rest.
Man, I'm not even calling the cops. I'm going straight to punching this dude in his wiener.
I'm going to start shooting the horns or something.
There's a video that shows Gary being let out of his home in handcuffs. And so while this is happening, he's screaming, why are we going through the same thing again? Tell me. He told the outlet that these horns were a cry for help, claiming that the LAPD is helping a mobster trying to kill him, according to the news outlet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn, you think Gary's just got some kind of an issue?
Well, neighbors believe he's only recently started having some kind of mental health problems, that he previously lived in the neighborhood without issue for 20 years. But he's been cited for creating a public disturbance and failure to follow an officer's directions.
Turn the horns off, Gary. That's his direction.
One of his neighbors said, quote, he says he needs help, but he never says what kind of help. I don't look at him as a bad guy. I look at him as a good guy doing bad things.
Yeah, see, I don't know what's going on with him. Obviously, there's some type of issue that's arose in his life, and I hope he receives whatever help that he truly needs, right?
Well, at first I was like, is this man a child? Because the only person, I mean, my son would probably like love to run around blaring a train horn because he loves train horns. But what are you doing?
Whatever's going on with him, he does have to consider he lives in city limits. He has neighbors at close proximity to his property, and that this is not okay to disrupt their lives to this degree.
When I first read the headline, I thought it was one of those little toy. Do you remember, like, if you went in a gift shop somewhere like Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg or whatever, they would have these wooden, like, whistle kind of things.
Yeah.
And you could blow it and it sounded like a train horn.
Yeah.
Right? When you were, I thought this guy was, like, running around the neighborhood with one of those.
No.
But then I realized that, no, it was like an actual train horn.
No, these are industrial grade, actual horns.
Would be so annoying.
No, it's horrible. And we've had neighbors before that do very loud things in a very obnoxious
It drives me
manner
crazy.
For long periods of time, and I just don't think
like the guy who constantly revved up the motor on that car for hours and hours and hours and hours. Yeah.
Yes.
And then we realized he was in a wheelchair and he would lean over into the car and rev it up
with his hand.
So he wasn't even
pedal.
in the car.
A broke down car that never went anywhere that was in his driveway.
It was like a Mustang.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was insane.
He was like living vicariously from his wheelchair by revving the motor.
And it's just being a dick.
It was like all day long. It would. I mean, people would be like, "What the fuck?" It would drive us crazy.
Nah, you don't have that right. I'm sorry, you don't. I don't think you have. I'm a live and let live type. Until it's the same thing at work, whatever other employees do and stuff like that. I don't care. You know, I'm not the. I try to follow my policies for myself and do everything the right way. I try real hard to be a good employee. But when what you do affects me, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's the same way I view living in a neighborhood. People can do whatever they want until it's affecting me in an adverse manner. And this right here is certainly a ridiculous thing.
Yeah, it makes me think of when Hurricane Helene hit last year and we didn't have any power and it was hot as hell because we live in the seventh ring of hell as far as heat goes in the deep south. It's hot as hell. You were at work. I'm here by myself, like sweating all night long. I had the windows open and I was like sleeping on the couch in the living room trying to get a little bit of a breeze.
Oh my God.
And one of the neighbors, who's already kind of the obnoxious neighbor across the way.
Yeah.
He's got a fence-eating dog. His dog tries to eat through the fence to get at Rufus like every day. Anyway, this guy was cranking up Phil Collins at like 1 a.m.
And the whole neighborhood's dead quiet.
And it's so quiet. And all I hear is like Phil Collins floating through the neighborhood. And it was like another day in paradise.
Oh.
So I'm like, not only are you playing Phil Collins, but you're playing this like super sad song about this homeless woman in the street.
Yeah.
At 1 a.m.
Oh.
So now you got me over here crying. So I'm crying and sweating and trying to sleep. Like, thanks, bro.
Got no air conditioner in paradise.
Man, I really hope that this hurricane season is mild because I just don't think Western North Carolina and East Tennessee can handle more flooding or more rain.
It's so weird. You know, Western Carolina and East Tennessee, as I grew up, were not things that popped in my mind being affected by hurricanes.
I mean, I do remember if a tropical storm hit the coast, we would get rain.
Right.
But never flooding.
And the high winds.
Yeah. So I really hope this hurricane season is mild.
Well, the problem in those areas, like we were talking about, is the waterways are all clogged up with junk and debris, logs, pieces of houses, cars, whatever. In some cases, still remains have not been found in these areas. And so the least bit of rain and things like that will, it's much quicker, much more prone to flooding. So it's really just a bad situation that's almost impossible to fix. Because these are small waterways in a lot of areas. You can't get heavy equipment, barges, cranes, and things like that out there.
Okay, Rufus is mad at someone outside.
Yeah, and I believe he's bringing us to the end of the episode.
He sure is. Dylan, thank you for sitting down with me today to discuss The Grandfather.
Yeah.
The Grandfather and Kohberger and his weird, disturbing fetishes.
And again, we didn't mean to be political. We just think that everyone should live and let live and get back to you can be friends and neighbors. You don't have to agree on everything. We got to stop that mess, people.
All this division.
Yes.
We need unity.
We do need unity.
Like Rick James's ring that he mashed into Charlie Murphy's head that said unity.
Yeah, we need some of that because we can still be
Like
a
my
community
Chappelle reference.
and neighbors. So let's do better. We're going to do better here at the Mountain Murders Studio.
Are we?
Yeah.
All right, Dylan.
I'm going to do better all day. But right now, I think I'm going to have some sausage and chips.
That's just what you need.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.